Okay, since this isn't an assignment part, let me just walk you through the process of creating this part. So I am going to, these are in inches, so I'm going to create myself a new part. I have a template here that's already set in inches, so I'm going to use that. And I'm going to assume that this bottom drawing is the front view, so this would be the top view of the part. So I'm going to create a new sketch on the top plane, and I'm first going to make this base part, and I'm going to use a revolve to make it. So I'm going to create a center line, vertical, infinite length, and snap that to the origin. And then I'm going to use the line tool here, and I'll start here at this point. I'm going to go out what would be 1.5, and I'll come in, and I'll come over a little bit, and I'll make another angle, and then I'll come across, and then I'll finish the shape. So I'll just put some dimensions in here. So this dimension is going to be 1.5, and this dimension here is going to be 0.6. This dimension here is also going to be 0.6. The total thickness of the part is going to be 0.5. And this distance here is going to be 0.25. Okay. So you can see that even though they give the angles here, everything is defined just by using those dimensions. So this is technically an over-defined diagram, if you want to put it like that. I can use the smart dimension to verify that that angle is indeed 120 degrees. It's actually, if you actually notice it, it's actually not 120 degrees, it's 120.96. So really this should be closer to 121 degrees if they were accurately. So this is, for lack of a better terms, it's a poorly dimensioned part. So I'm going to make that dimension driven just to show what that is. And now I'll go ahead and I'll use this as a revolve. So I'll go to Features, Revolved Boss Base, and it already, since I had the center line there, it assumed that that's what I wanted, and it's doing a full 360, so I'll say OK with that. All right, so now what I need to do is make this piece here. It's going to be a total height from here to its top of 1.5, and it's really made up of two circles with two tangents here, with this one defined about the center. So I'm going to create a sketch right here, and I will make a first circle here. I'll make a second circle over here, and I'll zoom in a little bit. So I'll take the center point of this circle and the center point of this circle, make them horizontal to each other. I'll then go ahead and put my dimensions on. So this will be its radius of 0.35, so it has a diameter of 0.7. And this has a radius of 0.15, so a diameter of 0.3. The separation between their centers, which is here and here, is to be 0.35. And all I need to do to finish the shape is to put on two tangent lines. So I'll select my line tool, I'll touch that circle, and I'll come across, and you notice that I have the two relations showing up, the coincident and the tangent relation. So if I select that, it should make both of them. So now we'll do the same thing on the other side. Again, coming close to this circle, that just puts a coincident on, and then if I come across this circle and move it slightly until I see both the coincident and the tangent relations. So I'll double click that to double click and ended it by accident. And now I'll double click. All right, so that gives me my initial shape. I don't need to trim anything out. mean, I can if I want to, but I'm not going to. So I'm just going to go Features, Extruded Boss. And a quick trick for this, instead of having to select all the inner materials, if I select that circle and that circle, that'll select all of that material, and then I just have to go in and make sure I grab these two little pieces that form the tangent edges. And this needs to come out to a total distance of 1.5 inches. Okay, so now the last thing that we need to do is this rectangular sweep. And that's exactly what it is. It is a sweep, so we need to, again, I haven't gone over that in class, but it's a relatively straightforward application. So let's go here, and I need to use the plane that's running through the center. So I'm going to select the top plane, create a new sketch on that, and notice where the center line, the center point is. So I'm actually going to make advantage of that, and I'll just draw a center line coming down and all the way down to the bottom. Because I want that, because I'm not going to be from the center here, I'm going to be right from the center of, how would you say it, that circle. Okay, so let me go back, select on the sketch here to go normal to it again. And now what I need is I need to draw the line in. So I think this line is a little bit, if I remember now, yeah, you got a 4.9 and then this 1.3, the other straight point, and then the 135 degrees. So there's a little weirdness going on here. So let me just go ahead and do it. I think this 4.5 dimension is redundant, if I remember correctly, or it might be the 4.5 is to the center of this circle. So let's take a look. I kind of forget how this part was made. So let's try that. I'm going to create a line from here, and I'll go out and I'll make that dimension 4.09. Okay, so now what I'm going to try to do, again, as I said, I'm not 100% sure how this is exactly made, so let me go ahead and I'm going to create a circle here that's going to have a diameter of 2, but it's also going to be tangent to the circle here. So let me just draw it down. Okay, now I'm going to put the radius, or in this case the diameter, on of 2. And what I'm going to do is make this distance to be the 4.5. So I'm going to go smart dimension from here to here and make that 4.5. Okay. Yeah, so I'm not 100% sure. You see, I was expecting that this would be automatically tangent to it, if you see the way the drawing is over here. So it's not quite, but so there's something wrong with the drawing. So let's leave it like this, and I'll show you what I'm going to do next. So I'll make another line here, and I'll bring it down to the circle and make sure that I'm tangent to it. And we'll make the dimension of that line 1.34. And then what I want to do is put the angle in between this one and that line and make that 135 degrees. So we got everything except for the fact that I would prefer if this line actually came all the way over. So I'm just going to move this. I'll just put a secondary line in. I could just take this dimension off and move it over, but actually, let me do that. I'm kind of curious to see what happens over here. So if I take this dimension off and I just drag this point over, right, so I'm right there, and as it happens, it's going to be right underneath, right, because if I put my dimension on here now, right, it's the same 4.5 dimension. So I don't know where this 4.09 dimension is supposed to be coming from. So don't know. All right, so now, but since this is going to be the path for the sweep of this rectangular piece, I am going to trim this part out. So I'll go ahead with trim entities, and I'll just do a trim there. And I can move that down, clean it up a little bit. Same thing here. All right, so that's all I need. That is going to be the sketch of the path that I'm going to use. So I'll just say I'm done now. And then the next thing I need to do is create a sketch on this plane, which would be the right plane. So let me go ahead and create that sketch. And that sketch is going to be along here. So what I'll do is I will go from this point down to here. And the thickness there is, where did they put it for us? 0.2. So the distance here is going to be 0.2. So I'm going to go ahead with Smart Dimension, and we'll make that distance 0.2. And that's all I need for that sketch. So I have the profile of the path and profile of the sketch. So now that I have these two sketches done, I can go up to Insert and Features, and it will be a swept boss. So, where is the swept boss? Sweep, here it is. And now that's a surface, I don't want that. Boss base, that's where it is, sweep. So we're gonna do the sweep, and this is the profile. So I'll select the profile. You can do it two different ways. I could come over here and select the profile, or I can come over here and select the sketch that forms the profile. Same thing for the path. I can click this, and that will contain, that's showing me what the sketch is going to look like. So I'll say OK. And that's the way the part should look. So if I do a top view, and if I do my front view, actually, sorry, this is the front view, right? This is my front view. And if I do my top view, that's the way the part should look. Now I think I know where the 4.09 is going to come in from, because all these dimensions that I use, the 4.5, which is where, and the radius are all going to the center line. So I bet you now if I go to Evaluate and measure, and I measure from this line to that line, nope, that's 4.5. So I don't know where they get that 4.09. All right, so that's how that part is created. Hopefully this has worked for you. And I don't know if they gave us a surface or anything to check this part about. They just say it should look like that below, but I don't think they give a volume or anything like that. Okay, so hopefully that works for you.